Yes, Year 10, welcome to your final week of remote learning before half term. I just want to take this opportunity to say how immensely proud I am of all of your hard work. You have matured so much since lockdown last year, and you're really taking your English studies seriously. So, well done. This week, we are going to return to Literature Paper 1 and look at Macbeth and Frankenstein, with a particular focus on the form and the structures of both texts. These lessons will be challenging, but you are more than capable of accessing this content. And if you take in this content, it will absolutely transform your Literature Paper 1 responses. So before we get into the content, can you please pause the video, copy down the title, date, and learning objective now, please. Okay, if you're back, that means that you are ready to move on to the do now. Make sure you're answering the questions in full sentences. I can't reiterate this enough. These 5 questions are revision of Macbeth, quite general, broad revision, but beneficial nevertheless. Pause the video and only come back when you completed the do now. Okay, so as you can see by the title and learning objective, we're going to look at meter. Before we do anything, we need to understand what meter is. I'm going to be exposing you to a number of new terms today, and I'll indicate which ones that you need to write down. Please don't write all of them, because some of them will be a bit useless to you. So meter is the basic rhythmic structure of a line in a piece of poetry or in a text. It is not a unit of measurement, so please do not confuse it as such. You might be thinking, madam, that's obvious, but you'd be surprised. Okay, so the meter is the way in which a line is structured and the rhythm that that line is said in. So I want to just kind of open up your mind and probe your thought processes. What is rhythm? What is rhythm to you? What does rhythm actually mean? I would like you to pause the video and spend no more than about 2 minutes writing an explanation to this question in your own words. Okay, if you're back, you've completed this task and we're ready to go deeper into what meter is in Macbeth. So, Macbeth is written in what we call blank verse. Now, blank verse is a form of poetry that does not rhyme, and it often uses what we call iambic pentameter. I'll explain that to you in a second, but for now, can you pause the video and copy this definition down, please? Okay, you should have this down. Now let's go into detail about what we mean by iambic pentameter. So, iambic means a type of rhythm, a sound. We know that meter talks about the rhythmic structure of a line, and iambic is simply a type of rhythm. An iamb, more importantly, is 2 syllables where one is stressed and one is unstressed. So, this type of rhythm uses iambs, and the rhythm created by iambs is this stressed and unstressed syllable pattern, which means that you have a pattern of 2 syllables, the first one being stressed, emphasized, and the second one being unstressed. And then the next pair of syllables, the first one is stressed, emphasized, and the next one is unstressed. There are 5 iambs in each line of iambic pentameter. So there are 5 sets of syllables in each line of iambic pentameter, which means in total, in one line of iambic pentameter, there are 10 syllables. Therefore, the metric of Macbeth uses iambic pentameter. This rhythm of stressed and unstressed syllables. And there are always 10 syllables in a line of iambic pentameter. And this is the definition. A line which has a pattern of an unstressed syllable and then a stressed syllable. Can you pause the video, please, and copy that definition in the blue box down? Okay, if you're back, that means that you are ready to move on. Now, in a line made up of 10 syllables, which is a line of iambic pentameter, how many stresses will there be? Remember, an iamb is 2 syllables, and it follows the pattern of unstressed and stressed. So how many stresses will there be in a line made up of 10 syllables? Pause the video and come back when you've completed this sentence starter, please. So, grab your purple pen, pause the video for a second if you need to go and find a purple pen. Okay, let's make our corrections. So, in a line made up of 10 syllables, there will be 5 stresses. So, 10 syllables. Remember, an iamb is 2 syllables. And out of those 2 syllables, one is stressed and one is unstressed. So, if there are 10 syllables, that is the 2 times 5, because there are 5 stresses. 5 stressed syllables, 5 unstressed syllables in a 10 syllable line. Pause the video for a second if you need to get that correction down. Okay, so let me just rub this off so I can move on to the next section. So, what does a line in iambic pentameter actually sound like? So, the rhythm of a line in iambic pentameter sounds like a heart beating or a horse galloping. So, it will sound something like this. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. The emphasis being on the second syllable, the stressed syllable. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. So let's look at an example from Macbeth. This very famous quote, "So foul and fair a day I have not seen." That is how we would say it without being aware that it is an iambic pentameter. Now we know that this is written in iambic pentameter, we can speak this line in its rhythm, putting the stress on the bold and underlined syllables. Before we read that, let's just identify the iambs. So remember, an iamb is a set of 2 syllables, stressed and unstressed. So we have an iamb here, 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 and here. There are 5 sets of iambs, a 10 syllable line. So this line is a perfect iambic pentameter. Now, how does it sound? Remember the rhythm? I'm going to say it aloud for you now. So foul and fair a day I have not seen. I'll do that again for you. So foul and fair a day I have not seen. Notice that I'm clapping and I'm emphasising those underlined and bold words. Pause the video and, using my clapping technique, placing emphasis on the bold and underlined words, read this line a couple of times in iambic pentameter. Okay, so you should have been reading that line aloud. Let's move on. So, let's practice. How good are you at identifying lines that are in iambic pentameter? Because there are instances in Macbeth where iambic pentameter is not used, and we need to be able to identify those. So, here are 3 quotes from Macbeth. Which would be planted newly with the time, away and mock the time with fairest show. For brave Macbeth, well, he deserves that name. These three are all written in perfect iambic pentameter. You now need to use the rhythm of the galloping horse or the heart beating, da-dum, 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 and identify the stressed syllable. It might be worth firstly figuring out where the iambs are, so where the two syllables are, and then you can figure out that the first one is unstressed and the second one is stressed. So let me just give you a hand with the first one, which would be planted newly with the time. I know the syllables, which would, that's one iamb, which would be planted newly with the time. So those are my 5 iambs, and the second is stressed. So you should now know which words you need to underline. Pause the video and repeat the same process for number 1, number 2, number 3. Only come back to the video when you have these quotes written with the stressed syllable underlined. Okay, if you're back, that means that you are ready to make some purple pen corrections. Can you grab your purple pen now? Okay, let's make the corrections. So this is what you should have underlined. So for number 1, which would be planted newly with the time. 5 stressed syllables. The second one, away and mock the time with fairest show. Again, 5 stressed syllables. For brave Macbeth, well, he deserves that name. Again, 5 syllables. Pause the video now and make sure that your sentences are underlined exactly like the ones on the screen. Okay, so we know what iambic pentameter is, we know what an iamb is, and we know how it sounds. But why is it significant in Macbeth? So, the noble characters often speak in iambic pentameter, and this is often to reflect something about their character. So noble characters might include Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, Duncan, maybe Banquo, for example. There are quite a few others that also speak in iambic pentameter, but those are a good starting point. Think about these noble characters. Think about why they would speak in iambic pentameter. What would they want to show? Pause the video and complete this sentence starter now, please. Okay, if you're back, that means you've completed the sentence starter. I'm not going to correct it for you today because I want to see your ideas. And when we come to look at iambic pentameter again, I'm going to use those ideas from you to talk about iambic pentameter in more detail. So, what does it mean then when noble characters don't speak in iambic pentameter? There are characters in the text that don't speak in iambic pentameter, such as the witch and the porter, but they are not noble. However, there are a few instances in the text where noble characters don't speak in iambic pentameter. Why do you think that is? Let's consider this quote from Lady Macbeth. Out damned spot, out I say, 1, 2, why then, 'tis time to do it. I'm going to test if this quote is in iambic pentameter. Out damned spot, out I say, 1, 2, why then, 'tis time. It doesn't work. Okay, this quote, this line is not in iambic pentameter. She has broken the metric. Why? Consider her state of mind. At this point, is she very noble? Is she a noble character? What has she done that has made her not noble, and how has that impacted her? Pause the video and write down an explanation in your own words to this question. Spend about 2 to 3 minutes on this and then come back to the video. Okay. If you're back, that means you've got this question answered in your books. Let's move on. So, today you have learnt about these things here, all about the metric, about iambic pentameter, syllables, and why they're used in Macbeth. What I would like you to do now is use all of the words on the screen to write a summary of iambic pentameter in your exercise book. Pause the video and come back when you completed this yellow task, please. Okay, now it's time to submit your work, and I just want to reiterate how I expect work to be submitted. You need to make sure your subject looks like this. That means when I'm tracking your submissions to check if you've done all 5 lessons, I can type your name in and it will come up English lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I can say, perfect, that student's completed their tasks. Or it could come up as English lesson 1, 3, 4, and 5. And I can email saying, hi, you've missed lesson 2. Please make it clear. Remember, if you're submitting handwritten work, you do it using your phone, finding one of these icons to attach an image. And if you're doing it on the computer, you need to find the paperclip attachment. A couple of you are sending photos of your work on the computer. Sometimes it's not very clear because there's like a flashback from the screen. So please make sure that you are attaching the saved document. Submit your work, and I look forward to seeing your interpretations of iambic pentameter, and I will see you in tomorrow's lesson where we're going to analyse that further.